Krista Moser here. Today I get to show you my latest pattern. This is Winter Visit. Isn't it cute? We've got a Christmas wreath and then a red cardinal bird for the two major blocks in this quilt. So I'm going to show you some of the steps that go into making one of these blocks and talking through some techniques that are helpful when doing angles. So most of this is actually done with 2.5 inch strips. In the case of all the winter wreaths here, they are just 2 tones of greens. You can use scraps, you could use stash, whatever you've got, but just 2 tones of greens for each one of the wreaths. And that's what I have here. So 2 green strips that are 2.5 inches each. And I like to use a lot of variety, so I did 8 different colors in this one. So I'm going to stack them up on top of each other and make sure that their edges are nice and perfect. Just like this. Now we're using the large ruler for this. So this is a Creative Grid 60-degree diamond ruler. I'm using the largest one. The cuts in this quilt are too big to be done with the mini ruler or the tiny ruler. So the large one is necessary. Now that I've got my strips stacked up, you're going to look for the 6.5 inch triangle line. So this is a dashed line that comes across the midsection of the ruler here. Just make sure I'm not cutting into the selvage. So we've got the 6.5 inch line across the bottom. There's a white dashed line that goes across the top. That would technically be the 4 inch line. It doesn't say that. It doesn't have a number next to it, but the 6.5 inch line has a number right across the bottom, and then this white dash across the top. And I'm just going to cut on both sides. Trim, trim, and then turn the ruler 180 degrees to get the next cut. Now the 6.5 inch line would be across the top. And then one more turn down this strip, and I've got enough to do one whole wreath. So it's pretty straightforward like that. Put these scraps aside. Now, you're going to want to trim off these outer tips. That's going to be very important. So let me show you a trick for that. When we have points like this, triangles work this way, trapezoids work this way. If you put your points up and out away from you, and then you have either your ruler with the large hanging hole also up and out away from you. In this case, I cut a 6.5 inch trapezoid. So now I can line it up with the 6.5 inch diamond lines. These are the solid black lines that come down the edge of the ruler here, and it exposes these 2 outer tips. So I can just trim them both off at once. So I'll just go ahead and nip those off. Now my trapezoid's got flat tips, engineered tips, which helps with the piecing. And do the next set, just the same. So you're looking for the solid black lines, and those just ride that cut edge. So the angled edge is what you're going to be lining up with your diamond lines. And last set. Okay, just like that. Okay, so this is basically your leaves. So I have 2 shades of green here. And you put them together like this, and sew your center seam. So you're going to do 6 of those for each one of your wreaths. And that's what you get from one strip, so it's pretty simple to do. Just like this. So 1/4 inch seam, press that seam open. I like to press these seams open because it makes the block really, really flat. And you're just going to keep building them until you have 6 for each one of your wreaths. And then the next thing we're going to cut, I'll set these aside for a second. Next thing you're going to cut is your background. So in the case of this one, I use this deep teal. I think it really offsets this kind of lime avocado color. So I've got a 4.5 inch strip here. Again, using the ruler, we're going to go for the 4.5 inch line this time. So that comes across the bottom and the flat tip across the top. Cut on both sides. Turn the ruler. Next cut. You would just continue to cut down your strip this way, so you get the idea. Now, again, just like before, we need to remove these outside tips. So I'm going to turn this triangle set till the flat tip points towards me, and then the large hanging hole of the ruler points out and away. And that way, I can use my triangle lines down the side of the triangle, or the diamond lines down the side of the triangle here. So these are the solid black lines that have the 4.5 inch bubble on them. And I can nip off those outside tips at the same time. Okay, so We have large triangles and we actually have small triangles. Now I already cut those, so I've got a stack of them here. So your basic block is this. It's very straightforward. I'm going to tilt it just a little so you can get an idea. Here we have the two trapezoids. Those are sewn together. Press that seam open. Take one of your small triangles and you put it up into the left. And then another one pointed straight down. And then your large triangle goes along the edge here. So that's your basic block. You see how it's basically a triangle here? 6 of those create one of these wreaths. It's just straightforward as that. Basic triangle units, but we've got one holly leaf petal unit in each. So I've got some of those already made here. So you see, this is how you arrange them into a whole wreath. Once they're all sewn, you're going to put them together with the little triangle pointed towards the center. And there you have it, your whole wreath. So you've got 6 triangles together, and in order to get a whole hexagon wreath, we sew them together in 2 halves. So the first seam here between triangles 1 and 2, press that seam open, then the second seam between 2 and 3, and then repeat that for the second half of the block, and then one final seam up the middle, and now you have a whole hexagon wreath. So that's the way it will come out. To put hexagons together and not have to do Y seams, we use filler blocks. So these are little accent blocks that will go in here. So we've got a whole hexagon here and a whole hexagon here, and in order to put those in a column or a row going top to bottom, which is the way this one works, and not have to sew block to block with some kind of funky seams, we can fill in with this triangle accent block. So let me show you how that would look when you're building rows. We've got this hexagon block here. Got another one already sewn up with a different set of greens here. So this would be part of your row. And then we've got these triangle accent blocks that go in here and here. So one of them would get sewn to this wreath, this one would get sewn to this wreath, and then you can do one final seam right up the middle, so no Y seams, no fussy piecing in that way, and then you're starting to build your column in your row. So you can imagine these hexagon blocks are the same side as the cardinal bird. So that one also is done in 6 triangle units. It's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to demonstrate that now, but the illustrations in the pattern are absolutely clear and you can do it. I have no doubt. So you're probably wondering, I do a quilt along every year around the holiday time, and this is this year's quilt along. So it is finally happening. It's going to start on November 18th, so that's on a Tuesday, and we're going to go for 5 weeks. So in this quilt along, the way it works is I teach a new lesson for each part of this process every week for 5 weeks, and these are video lessons. So we're going to put those video lessons in a closed Facebook group. There's no cost to join the group, but you do have to buy the pattern. So they won't be on YouTube in that sense, but I'm going to go week by week and teach a part of the process until you're all done. In 5 weeks, we're going to go through the wreaths, the accent blocks, the cardinal block, and then final assembly. So it's a very fun process if you've never done one. These are really great. People look forward to them. I've been getting a lot of messages from people already this year, hoping that there's going to be one, and this is it. So Winter Visit is our quilt along this year. It's going to be great. November 18th, mark your calendars. What I'll do is I'll put a link in the description box below this video to our blog with more details and links to all the things like the pattern, which comes as a printed pattern. It also comes as a PDF pattern, and then of course we did do kits. So you guys always really seem to like these kits. So everything that I used in mine, I did a kit for, and what you can see here are the 8 different greens. So we've got some lighter shade greens, some darker shade greens, and then I did the two reds for the cardinal and the gold, a little piece of black. We've got the accent color, which goes in these triangle blocks here, and then the deep teal as the background. So that's one of the kits, but we did a second one too. So let me show you. I actually had this quilt worked up from a friend of mine. She did a white version. All the same greens, all the same everything. It's just with a white background and the gray accent. So here you see Winter Visit and white. So we're doing kits for this as well. So if you prefer a white background, it's a little more of a traditional color, then we will do that too. The wreath colors are all the same. Everything's pretty much the same. It's just that the background shades are lighter. So, okay, I think that's all the details. Like I said, I'll put a link to the description in the description box to our blog, which has way more details about what we're going to be doing going forward. I hope you'll join us for the Quilt Along. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for watching.